And so we saw a range of methods to force someone into an underhook when their arm is in a good defensively responsible position. Okay, so for example, you could fake the American lock. That would certainly work. You could go into a wrist pass where we come up, pass the wrist by, and go into an underhook. The one which I favor above all others is the 10-finger method, where we lock, pommel our head through, and then from here we find ourselves in an underhook. Then it's all about step number 2. And the general rule here is, when we see an opponent with a good defensively set arm, our thing from here is to start lengthening his arm and expose the wrist. And then we can pin it with our leg. If our opponent's arm is short, then we get our hand inside our training partner's hand, and we put the hand on the bicep like so. That's going to enable us to bring our knee over the top and pin our training partner's arm. The first is this one, a front leg pin. Then we can pommel by crossing our feet, taking off the front leg, and replacing it with the back leg. From here, another excellent way for us to operate is to pinch our 2 knees around our training partner's shoulders and sit out. This gives you the arm scissor. This enables us to draw a training partner up and pull them into a situation where their head and their arm is completely controlled inside your knees. Once you get to chancery, I believe the first thing you should do is seek stability. So put your hand out wide and pin his elbow down to his hip. Now, from here, you have the option of pulling the arm up, and the first attack is going to be Kimura. You have 3 variations of Kimura. One is where 2 knees are on the ground. That's a very strong form of finish. The second, we take 1 knee off the ground, so we have height and a better ability to move our opponent's arm through distance. And the third involves sitting out all the way like so and splitting your legs out wide. This is very strong, very stable, and a powerful way to attack your training partner's arm. Second method of attacking very successfully out of chancery is to go into Yoko Senkaku, the side triangle. From chancery is to go down to an elbow like so. Let's rotate this with me. Now, my legs, I want to get a good strangle right from the start. The way we do this is we put our shoelace on top of the bottom leg, and then from here I send the bottom leg through. I stay up on my elbow. Don't be too quick to go to the ground. And then from here we make adjustments, pushing the leg through until we can get our shoelace all the way up into the crook of our knee, so that by the time we commit our hip down to the ground, the strangle is already on. This time, done in this way, there's very little room for your opponent to escape. And I'm using my back leg to pin my training partner's arm. In these cases, you also have a very good Kimura option. I draw Placido up onto his side. This time, when I put his head inside my knees, you no longer have the full control over your training partner by hooking underneath the armpit. However, this is a very strong position still for Kimuras. Lock your hands defensively, buddy. Bring your other arm in. From here, we can take our hand and grip right here at our training partner's tricep and go down into this position here. This enables us to use double trouble, the principle of double trouble, to control both of our training partner's arms and draw this guy up into a particularly tight variation of Jujigatami. So when he tries to twist and turn his way out, it's very, very hard. And this is a very, very strong instance of Jujigatami. We have that arm in place, and you'll notice that this time, my front leg is pinning Placido's bicep. The way we do it is we take our knee across our training partner's stomach and we start walking that arm up high. Now I'm going to take my forward knee over my training partner and I'm going to sit out with my foot right there on the floor. Because my foot comes up off the floor, I can take his shoulder off the mat and curl my knee into good position. We take our training partner's arm around the corner, and from here we can go forwards. We can fall forwards to our shin, and as a result, we can easily grab a hold of our own leg and lock up a very tight form of triangle. When Placido tries to move out of here, the strangle is exceptionally tight. Okay. You also have the option in these situations of falling backwards, where you can keep your legs in close to each other, bring your 2 feet up, and fall in a backwards direction. Now you have a very tight form of triangle, Hantai Senkaku, and locking for the finish. Okay. Normally, we hold with a cross face here, underneath my opponent's head. But instead, we're going to bring a reverse cross face into place. We have a reverse cross face. I sit out, to get my head just inside Placido's elbow, and then I come up and pin his arm. Now you're right back into a side crucifix, and you guys know very well what we like to do out of side crucifix. The other option, of course, is going to be a north-south strangle. So we have an opponent pinned. From here, he's got his arms in a good defensive position. We've seen the idea of taking the arm across, and then from here we sit out to beat our training partner's elbow, and then we come up and pin the near arm. If you feel for whatever reason it's going to be difficult to hit the wrist pass, is to take this arm here and put it around our training partner's head. Even as we do this, we take our rib cage and push his cheek with the rib cage. So when he tries to look back towards us, it's impossible. You're so far underneath your training partner that when you bring your hand up over his shoulder, the strangler's already getting tight. Then we just connect our hands, we walk our body down to the classic north-south, and we get our stranglehold very, very quickly. And controlling the far hip with a tight waist, seatbelt grip, or what have you. But something's got to control that far hip. At some point, however, we're going to move around and place a wedging knee behind our training partner's elbow so we can sit through and take our training partner down into a classic back crucifix. In these situations, we bring our strangle arm across and we feed it all the way in as a hook on our training partner's lat muscle. As he brings his arms in defensively, we're going to look at our training partner's lower back and butt. If his lower back and butt is on the floor, we're going to build for height. So we're going to take our elbow back, straighten out our body, and build up to an elbow. From here, I should retract my 2 feet. So we've got a good back heel on our training partner's arm. So if Placido tries to take his 2 arms out, it won't be easy. You will notice that Placido's head is locked on my oblique muscles. So what we're going to do is turn, take our knees off the ground, and let his head slip through. And that puts us, you guessed it, right back into the classic side crucifix position. You've just gone from a back crucifix to a side crucifix. What if my opponent takes his back and butt off the floor and bridges into me? Then you won't be able to free your head and get into their move. No problem. If you see that, slide into Ushiro Senkaku, the rear triangle. But this time he pushes and bridges. So now there's no way I can get up on top of him. In these situations, just take your knee behind his lower back and slide out to the side. And as a result, he drops straight away into Ushiro Senkaku.